This is the 810 eurorack module by System80. Yeah, or rather, this is 4 of them that I recorded individually and then combined together to make this little jam for the intro of this video. The 810 is based on some of the designs for the classic Japanese synths of the late 70s, early 80s, such as the Jupiter 6. And it really does have a sound that feels so close to those that it makes me extremely happy. It's hard for me to not get excited when I'm playing around with this module, just because some of those sounds resonate so strongly with me. The module is normalized, that is that it has connections between the individual modules that kind of match the path that you'd want to patch up for most of the things you might want to do with it. So that means that from the VCO, you already have an internal patch going to the VCF, and from the VCF into the VCA. So in this little patch you can see I've set up here for the intro, I just have 3 cables. One gives me the actual notes, so the 1 volt per octave input in the VCO. Another gives me the envelope output from the Zeta that goes into the VCA. And then finally I have another patch cable, the purple one, coming out of the output of the VCA, and that's when I'm patching in to the output of my little eurorack case. In this intro here, I think I have it running through the Make Noise Q-Pass and the Make Noise mimeophone for just a little bit of effect, a little bit of fun. The sequence that I'm going to be running through this entire little video is being run by the Make Noise Renee, and it's just a very simple sequence that I just set up in a loop just to have something instead of me tapping on a keyboard throughout all this. The VCO, voltage controlled oscillator, in the 810 has 4 different sounds: pulse width, saw, triangle, and sine. Each of them has a range setting, so you can control the octave range that they're in. I haven't experimented too much yet with how well the tuning tracks outside of the immediate range, but I suspect that even if there are some tracking problems, this will allow you to dial in the range that you're looking for and get accurate tracking there. The pulse width modulation can be used only for the pulse signal. I really love in some of the synthesizers where you have the ability to do something akin to pulse width modulation on like a saw or some other waveform, but in this case it's purely for the pulse width waveform. Do have a modulation input, and it works quite well. We'll get into more details with the filter later, but it does indeed self-oscillate, and I believe that it is tunable so you can actually have it track and play the oscillator. in these first run-throughs of the filter where I'm just kind of running through the different waveforms, I have the filter set to 24, but I'll go through it later and give some comparisons to what it sounds like in 12 dB versus 24 dB. So I'll switch, as you can see, at the bottom of the VCA module that lets you pick that. The VCO also has 2 modulation inputs. Not quite sure what the difference between those is, but both of them seem to work quite well. There's a sync input, which is for syncing the waveform. That really only makes sense if you're layering multiple oscillators. It doesn't sound to me like it does anything between the sub-oscillator and the main oscillator in this in any meaningful way that I can hear, but I could be wrong. I find the triangle and the sine oscillators to be very close. There's a little bit of character difference, but not a lot on this module. Just a little bit of added overtones to the triangle compared to the sine. And then, as I mentioned, there's a sub-oscillator, so try to activate that, and by turning down the filter input for the main oscillator, we can listen to just the sub-oscillator for a second here. And as is common on these kind of synthesizers, it appears to be a straight up square wave. And a very nice sounding one for that. Alright, let's bring in the main oscillator again. So now we have both the sub-oscillator and the main oscillator going. And do some quick filter sweeps to just listen to the difference. Plug in a little bit of pulse width modulation on the mutable instrument tides. sawtooth can really get growly when the sub oscillator is in play as well. Been really enjoying running it through the Ibanez Tube Screamer for some really growly distortion. A few bass lines. It's giving me exactly the kind of results that I'm looking for. I haven't been able to pull off any very classic Roland acid lines yet, but it's not something I've really tried that hard, so it might still be possible. Suspect the fact that you can modulate the resonance. I could probably throw in an extra envelope from the Zeta on that and get some very squelchy tones. The modulation on the filter does have two options. Regular straightforward one, and then one that has the attenuator to let you go both negative and positive. And I'm assuming the little KYBD there means that the filter modulation is set to follow tracking from the 1 volt per octave input on the VCO, just to make sure that the filter opens up ever so slowly as you go up the frequency range. Switching back and forth here between the 12 dB and the 24 dB filter. And there's definitely a difference, but it's not huge. Throwing the modulation into the resonance modulation input here. Increase the speed of that a little bit. You get a little bit of a self-oscillation from the filter there. Finally we come to the VCA. A little switch down here which lets you switch between exponential and linear response to the modulation input. I suspect if you have an envelope generator that can do varied envelope forms, it's not really going to have big value to you. But if you have one that can't really create those pluggy exponential sounds, then it could be very useful. There's a drive button here, which is a little puzzling as it seems to not really be controllable and fully able to close down with the envelope, meaning that the drive seems to lower the baseline level of the VCA no matter what you are adding from the envelope point. Alright, to end off this little review tutorial, I've plugged it back into the Make Noise Q-Bass and the Make Noise Mimeophone. Add a little bit of softness and delay and stereo filter action. Hope you enjoyed watching this video, and please click like and subscribe, and add any additional questions you might have about this module in the comments, and I'll be happy to follow up with any additional answers. enhancers and additional sound samples. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.